So, Peshin warned in that meeting that war is coming. He said for sure they will attack again, referring to Israel and presumably the U.S. And he even grimly forecasted his own, another attempt on his own life, and stated that Iran has prepared 5 to 6 steps ahead of every contingency, including the elimination of its elected president. So that the reason the meeting was held was Iran expects war at any moment. Just talking to contacts inside Iran, they're all expecting it. Many were expecting it sooner, but they feel like the snapback sanctions, which were hypocritically imposed by the E3, the 3 European countries that were part of the P5+1, after the U.S. ripped up the deal, the JCPOA, that the snapback sanctions were really the trigger for another potential war. That line is chilling, but not surprising. When a nation plans for its president's assassination as just another scenario, it shows how survival has replaced growth, and the irony, those so-called ... as diplomacy, they work like sparks on dry grass. Sanctions rarely stay economic. They fuel resentment until conflict feels inevitable. In plain terms, sanctions are war without bullets. Iran knows it, which is why they're already 5 steps ahead. Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, has told TASS, the Russian wire service, that he is hearing from his own sources that Israel is preparing for a war on Iran, and this might be a way for them to blow up the 21-point plan in Gaza for Netanyahu to shore up his coalition. At the same time, Lavrov has said that his sources, and in Israeli media, has also said this as well, echoing Peskin in our own meeting. The war will be more violent, and Iran's government is much stronger than Israel understood during the 12-day war. And Peskin said that his society, he's a reformist president. He represents sort of the urban middle class, and that wants a more, socially liberal society, and he has been more critical of than previous presidents. And he stated that even harsh critics in Iran and opponents of the Islamic Republic united around the flag and behind the military because Israel killed so many civilians, and they were so offended by the unprovoked nature of that attack. Lavrov's warning cuts deeper than politics. If Israel strikes Iran, it won't just be another border clash. It could unravel the whole region. And here's the key point. Even reformists inside Iran, people critical of the regime, rallied behind the flag when civilians were killed. That's what outside powers always miscalculate. Bombs don't just weaken governments, they harden societies. Instead of division, you get unity through outrage. Why did the Israelis bomb a prison, an Iranian prison? Was it an accident? Or was there some diabolical purpose to killing prisoners and the people visiting them? No, that's a great question, and it connects directly to the last point I made. Israel bombed Evin prison. This is like the most extreme neoconservative delusional thinking. They thought by bombing this prison that they would send a message to the part of Iranian society that opposes the Islamic Republic, that Israel stands with them and wants to actually liberate the prisoners in Evin prison, who many of them are sort of considered political prisoners, including people who have attempted to ferment regime change, as well as dissident. And it's always harshly condemned by the human rights industrial complex. So Israel bombed the gates, thinking they would send a message, and that it would lead people into the streets. Instead, what they wound up doing was not only killing many prisoners, killing social workers, killing prison guards, killing families who were there to visit their dissident family members. This is the kind of delusion that backfires. Israel thought bombing a prison would spark dissent against Iran's government, a twisted idea that pain would. History shows the opposite. When outsiders kill civilians, even dissident rally around the flag. Instead of weakening the state, it hardens it. That's not liberation. It's political suicide. And they wound up facing the harshest consternation from some of the loudest voices supporting regime change, like Nargis Mohammadi, condemning Israel for doing that. So it completely backfired. And this really speaks to the delusional thinking that animates Israel's war on Iran. There won't be a regime change war this time. It will be a war in which Israel seeks to drag the U.S. more deeply into this conflict, which could lead to global economic disaster, with the Strait of Hormuz being closed. When even figures like Nargis Mohammadi, long critical of the regime, condemn Israel's strike, you know the strategy backfired. Instead of splintering Iran, it unified it. And that's the delusion here. Israel isn't triggering regime change. It's laying the groundwork for a wider war. One that U.S. in and shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, a choke point for global oil. That wouldn't just be a Middle East crisis. It would be a global economic earthquake. Do you have any handle on what Trump and Netanyahu are announcing? Yeah, I wish that we were talking an hour from now, so I could process more what's actually taking place. But it does look like there is an agreement on a 21-point plan, which is basically a pacification plan that is deeply corrupt for Gaza. Most Israelis want to end the war. Netanyahu has been weakened, but he's accepting it at least tentatively. And the Gaza International Board of Peace will be established with Trump at the top. At the bottom are like low-level Palestinian and Arab technocrats. And Tony Blair is supposed to oversee the provisional authority. So he becomes the new L. Paul Bremer of the Gaza Strip. Hamas members are given safe passage, basically to leave. Who's a Hamas member? Hamas won a Palestinian, a national election. Palestinian legislative elections back in 2006. So anyone who voted for them has... That would be kind of a form of voluntary migration. And Gaza City is still being destroyed as we speak. And Trump has stated that if Hamas refuses this deal, basically he's made them an offer they are not allowed to refuse. And Israel has full authority to totally destroy them. This isn't a peace plan. It's a takeover, dressing control as diplomacy and turning Gaza's people into bargaining chips. There is a withdrawal plan, which Israel is supposed to abide by. Can Trump enforce it? I doubt it. And that, according to Trump, Arab and Muslim countries will be dealing with Hamas, meaning Egypt, and countries that are very hostile to them. So they will be pitted against Hamas. Again, I wish I had more time to assess this. Netanyahu, last point, is Netanyahu seems a little disappointed, and there are rumors filtering out of the White House that Trump sees Netanyahu as politically weakened. For months and months, about how any ceasefire, however temporary, if it lasts for 60 days or more, would unravel Netanyahu's coalition. And then Smotrich and Ben-Gvir have already condemned this deal. And Ben-Gvir has condemned Netanyahu for apologizing to Qatar for the recent attack, which obviously he was forced to do as part of this deal. So he's weaker than ever. And will his government collapse? It's possible. I can't really make an assessment now. I think his government will could collapse, upon implementation if he actually forces the military out in a way that does not provide the religious nationalist settler camp with the new Gushgif-style settlements that they're seeking. Remember, Bezalel Smotrich, the finance minister, said that the final solution for Gaza is actually a real estate deal, and it's going to be Jews-only real estate. So, Netanyahu is in peril now, and obviously Trump is frustrated made some bizarre comments about how Iran could join the Abraham Accords. Netanyahu's in a bind. Every step toward a ceasefire weakens his coalition, yet prolonging the war erodes public support. And Trump, he sees that weakness. Floating ideas like Iran and the Abraham Accords isn't strategy. It's desperation. At its core, this isn't peace-building. It's a political survival game, and Netanyahu may not survive it. I think I'm sure Netanyahu loved hearing that. Yeah. Well, it would only happen after Iran's government, Islamic Republic, was destroyed, and there was regime change, because Iran would never join the Abraham Accords and submit to Israel, which is what the Abraham Accords is about. Or all these problems, and we're going to know, I think in 72 hours, whether all sides actually are able to agree to this. Hamas agreed a week ago. Again, they've been agreeing to this since at least, May of 2024. But this time, they open to return all hostages in exchange for several conditions, which had supposedly already been agreed upon. So Hamas is demonstrating enormous flexibility. And again, this is after Netanyahu tried to kill their entire negotiating team in Qatar. The idea of Iran joining the Abraham Accords is pure fantasy. It would only follow regime change, which is exactly why the suggestion is so dangerous. What's more telling is Hamas. Despite being vilified, they've shown more willingness to negotiate than Netanyahu, even offering to return hostages under conditions already on the table. That contrast should make us pause. The side painted as inflexible is showing flexibility, while the side claiming to want peace keeps moving the goalposts.